Hey friends, how are you doing? This is another Technics SL-5. I am recording this one primarily just to show this one to the audience that's looking at it on eBay. Now, if you're looking at it not on eBay and you just want to learn about these, I have a video, a couple of videos back where I'm actually kind of going into detail on how to repair one and so on. This one came to me via, I think there's a pile of these I bought. There was an SL, I think there was a 7. There was a, it was just a pile of Technics that a collector had, and they had just sat around and he hadn't maintained them. This is the belt that came out of it. You can see it was quite lobed, and he just hadn't made it through them yet. So this one actually has brand new lube on the rail. So the rail has been cleaned and lubricated, then cleaned again and lubricated again. And each time I clean it, I run it up and down, make sure I'm getting all the funkity-dunkity off. And then new belt has been put into it, and the top was taken off and buffed. And you'll see here that there are some scar marks from, I believe these are scars from the cord. If these cords set on top of these and they get warm over time, the chemicals between this and this will scar this, and that happens all the time. You see it on turntables a lot, where they got a little warm, this cord was sitting on top in storage and it just melted through the plastic, and that's what this is. And you can usually tell, the telltale sign of that is that there's a double line. So these aren't dinks from the actual plate being loose and on top of it. They're actually on top, not underneath. So unfortunately that happened to this one, but despite that, it actually still looks really good, and it's very presentable and functions great. It does 33-45, or it has auto select. The auto select uses a couple of triggers. So first off, this is pressed down to tell it that a record is on, and then when you close the door, it pushes this sensor out and it feels for a record. If there's a record there, it'll engage. If there's not a record, then you'll see it stays out. Okay, so that tells it whether you have a 45 or a 33 in there. So that's the auto function. It does have an on-off button, which some of the turntables, they don't have on-off buttons, or they seem not to, but really there is an on-off toggle switch inside. When the tone arm is moved over, it turns it on automatically. This one only has, so there's several of these Technics linear drives that have a detector in them that you can tell it to skip songs or what have you, and you can make actual song selections as well, or be like a 1 through 10 on here. This one does not. This one is just play the whole record, or you've got to manually move the tone arm. The tone arm has been adjusted. This cartridge that's in here is a Technics, or I'm sorry, not a Technics, it's a Shure. I remember it's a 15, it's a DT15. And the DT15s are really good cartridges. You can find them, depending on the sub model of the DT15, you pick them up for like 50 to, sky's the limit. Like I've seen some of them go for 300 new in the box. So this is a really good. The stylus that's on here is going to need to replace pretty soon. You can hear once it has trouble picking up the very top end occasionally. I've been listening to it all day, so occasionally like I'll get like a female vocalist on here, and you can hear just a little bit of resonance in the voice. So cartridge is fine. The stylus does need replaced eventually. It works just fine. If you're listening to rock and roll, it's not going to bother you. If you're listening to classical music, you're going to hear it. If you're listening to female vocalists like Celine Dion, you're gonna hear it. But if you're rock and roll or country, you're not gonna hear it at all. Anyway, so there you go. Let's talk about play. So you just hit the start button, and then to start or to stop it, you just hit the stop button. But the start and the stop button actually have alternate functions. So if you hit the queuing button up here, it will lift, and then you can manually move the tone arm back and forth, and then you lower it. Let's see here. And then you can do repeat, which is just, it's basically repeating the entire record. That's about it. That's pretty much the dude right there. The thing I like about these players the most, and if you've seen my previous videos, you're gonna know this already, but if I am like running through records, which I do a lot of, so here's Hank Thomas. Never heard Hank Thomas, had no previous experience with him. I just wanted to see if I liked him, if I wanted to add him to my collection. I probably have heard of him before and so on, but you know, I can lift and put the next one in there, and we are off and running. You cannot, you know, if you're messing with a tone arm, it's difficult to do, or it's not as convenient. This is really convenient. This is wonderfully convenient. You said that you'd be my... See there on it was picking up the steel guitar just fine. So it's, you know, the semblance or the high pitch resonance that you'll hear on here is, it's just depends. So anyways, one of my favorite types of players, actually I have two of these myself. I've kept them because I've run into these occasionally, and I've usually just turned around and sold them after I've repaired them, but I've decided to keep a couple of them myself. So right, that is it. This is a wonderful player. If you like these, this is a good opportunity to get one with minimal damage to the dust cover. You see that's buffing compound. I just buffed another one that's right over here that I'll be doing a video on next. This is a wonderful thing. Buy it. You want one of these. Thanks for watching.